Today we take a look at the police investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. We'll meet Police Chief Michael Reiter and Detective Joe Recarey and hear more graphic accounts from some of Epstein's teenage victims. We'll discuss Epstein's defense team and the shady way the state attorney's office and even the FBI handled the case and the charges against old Egg Dick. I'm Mike.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Dave. If you thought this pedo fuck was a piece of shit in part 2, stick around. You'll be throwing up your cool down beer by the end of part 3. This is Necronomipod.
Sources tell News Channel 5 that Kenneth Starr, now a top lawyer in Los Angeles, will arrive here tomorrow morning. Reclusive billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, once labeled one of New York's most eligible bachelors, was investigated by the Palm Beach police for months. The police conclusion: Epstein's Palm Beach mansion was a revolving door for women, and in some cases girls as young as 16 hired to give Epstein massages. In some cases, the report says, the massages led to sex, that according to a voluminous probable cause affidavit. The Palm Beach police chief protested vigorously when the state attorney's office, citing racy suggestive websites created by some of the girls, charged Epstein with a misdemeanor, solicitation of prostitution.
So it's another dark day here in the Cool Down Media studio. I think this last happened when we were recording during a bonus show, but alas, we have tapped another keg.
Didn't we play taps or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, I think we did.
I didn't think it was quite fitting to play for a show when we're going to get into some serious shit. We don't need to be getting all serious with that, but
Fair enough.
of course it happens just before we start recording too. We have to
We're going to make do, though.
rummage around and find leftover beers and whiskeys and all that fun stuff. I wish I had someone that could like remind me what I was supposed to drink.
Whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
Well, that's what we got now. We have rummaged around and found some beers, and if that doesn't cut it, we'll jump to some whiskey.
I think you can DoorDash beer now, can you?
I think so.
God bless America. About to get on Uber Eats and order like one tall boy of Miller Lite.
I'm pretty sure you can do that.
I think you can.
The driver's like, this fucking guy.
They changed Ohio laws for some. They worked around some stuff with that.
No, they're actually just changing it again. You can get actual booze delivered.
Really?
Yeah, instead of just beer.
Man.
Great times we're living in.
Can you, Dave, so can you put in like a special request on Uber and be like, I only want delivered Eagle Rare.
Yeah.
Do not show up if you don't get it. The fucking
Right.
driver's driving, what, Kentucky or wherever you get that shit.
You have to drive down to the actual distillery to get that.
It is the best. It's my favorite.
It's good.
My favorite.
It's a good cheaper end
Oh, well, look at this
bourbon,
guy.
but it's delicious.
Throwing cheap around over here.
It's like $30 a bottle.
Well, it tastes like $1 million.
I agree. It's very tasty.
You know what the best part of all this is, Dave?
What's that, Mike?
We finished the high life. No more
of that.
lesson learned.
Don't skimp to save a few bucks on the keg.
We tried. We tried to love it. You just can't. You
That is
can't.
not a class beer.
Yeah, champagne and beer's my ass as I take a big swill of it over here. But so here's a funny story. I live about, I don't know, several houses down. He's already laughing. Several houses down from Dave. And I walk to his house on nights we record because I usually get here a little earlier than Ian, who drives on over and joins us. And then Ian's kind enough to drive me home at the end of the night. And I left my house a little later this evening, and I'm walking in the street because there's no sidewalks yet in our neighborhood. And walking in the middle of a street in a bright orange t-shirt, holding notes in my hand. And I hear a car coming, and I turn, and I see it's my good pal Ian. So I stop and smile and wave as he blows right past me, not even acknowledging my existence or realizing that, hey, by chance, could that be my pal walking to the same place I'm going? Again, in a bright orange shirt, carrying notes in his hand. Nope.
He got out of the car. He goes, I think I just drove past Mike. I go, yeah, I think you probably did.
And I just straight up fucking ignored him.
You know, and then it's situations like this, like your lack of surroundings, that then make me realize why you get lost so much.
Yeah.
Don't ever tell Ian turn left at the water tower, because he ain't fucking seeing that water tower. I was literally in the street in an orange shirt holding notes in my hand.
I saw you. I didn't realize it was you until like well past
Just somebody else wearing an Oilers shirt and a ball cap.
Yeah.
In all fairness, you couldn't see that, and I literally stopped and waved at you. Also, I did do that.
Yeah.
But that you might have been too close and like passing me.
I
but
saw
still.
you wave, and I'm like, who the fuck is like? Why is this person stopping and waving at me? And I just kept driving, and then I'm like, it hit me as I was getting out of my car.
You actually saw me wave.
Oh yeah, I saw you wave.
You're lucky he didn't roll the window down and go, "Hey, get fucked, asshole."
Jesus, man.
I saw you wave. Why is this guy waving at me?
Why is this guy who looks identical to Mike waving at me as I drive past his house on the way to the same place we're both going? So that's what I'm dealing with. Anyways, that was fun. At least it was a nice day. It wasn't like a rainy, cold day.
Yeah.
We had snow last week, and today was, 85 degrees?
Oh, it's beautiful out.
Yeah.
Cutting some grass.
Yeah, it's one of those days. So anyways, all right. We had fun.
What's your segue into child raping, Mike? I'm waiting to hear it.
Now, I'm not even going to try. Okay. I'm going to make some inappropriate joke about Ian just being oblivious to what me walking. And nope, not today, devil. Ian, where'd we leave off?
Where we left off on part 2, we introduced 2 underage teenagers using aliases to protect their identity. Mary, age 14, who in February 2005 was recruited to give Epstein a massage at his Palm Beach mansion by another underage teenager, Wendy. Rumors had been spreading around Royal Palm Beach High School about a creepy old guy who would pay girls between $200 and $300 for massages, and word was Mary was one of those girls. In March of 2005, after being called a whore by a fellow student, Mary got in a fight with the girl, leading the principal to find $300 in 20s in Mary's purse. And if we remember, they thought drug dealing, and then Mary just started spilling it all to the school counselor about Jeffrey Epstein. On March 15th, 2005, Mary's parents called the Palm Beach police to report what had happened to their daughter. That call was taken by Officer Michelle Pagan. Officer Pagan sat down with Mary, and the following is from Mary's statements and Officer Pagan's notes. We'll start with Mary's statement.
This white-haired guy came into the room wearing only a towel around his waist. He took off the towel, and then he was all naked, and he laid down on the massage table. He was a really built guy, but his wee-wee was very tiny.
Is this from your college transcripts, or is this the police report?
I'm just waiting for Dave to cut that bit, and it's going to be on the soundboard in 3 days tops.
Tiny wee-wee.
Oh, wee-wee. Which just makes it sound even tinier. Wow.
Wee-wee. Yeah, we'll do something with that on the soundboard.
And again, to be clear, this is a 14-year-old girl, though, that had this experience. Also built. Was he a built guy?
He was in shape, yeah.
Must be nice.
Epstein pleasured himself to ejaculate, and Mary, from her statement, said
he used a towel to wipe himself down as he got off the table.
And then moving on to Officer Pagan's notes.
While speaking to me, Mary became upset and started to cry. She removed her pants, leaving her thong panties on. She straddled his back, whereby her exposed buttocks were touching Epstein's exposed buttocks. Epstein turned to his side and started to rub his penis in an up and down motion. Epstein pulled out a purple vibrator and began to massage Mary's vaginal area.
It's weird how the police statement's written. It's like she's doing that during the police interview.
The way I first read it, like Mary became upset and started to cry. She removed her pants, leaving her thong panties on.
Like at the police station?
Yeah, she did, her notes are a little...
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you're taking notes, like in your mind, they're for yourself because you want to be able to remember to write your report or whatever. But yeah, the way it was...
Well, I just wanted to clarify for everyone that's not what was taking place.
That was what's taking place in Epstein's home.
Right.
Throughout part 1 and 2, we've laid out a good base for what you can get away with when you have insane amounts of wealth and connections to powerful people.
Still true today.
Very true. You do whatever the fuck you want if you have a certain amount of money. We also talked about in part 2 how easy it would be for someone with Epstein's money and connections to completely destroy someone. And in this case, there were two people in law enforcement that were willing to risk that going against Epstein, as Police Chief Michael Reiter and Detective Joe Recarey.
Already working on chiseling their name in the Necronomipod Mount Rushmore.
With Ray Biondi, we just need how many more?
One more. One more super cop.
Michael Reiter is a guy that's way overqualified to be a police chief. He should have been in the FBI or some higher form of law enforcement. Reiter was born and grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, then moved to Florida. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Florida Atlantic University. He later earned a master's degree in human resource development from Palm Beach Atlantic University. He also graduated from the Senior Executives in State and Local Government Program and Crisis Management Program at Harvard University. And he's a graduate of the FBI National Academy and the U.S. Secret Service's Dignitary Protection Program.
Ian, you know who else is from Pittsburgh?
Who's that?
A shitty football team named the Steelers.
Well, it's funny. He talks a lot. He's in that Netflix documentary a lot. When Angie and I were watching it, we're like, he's not from Florida. He's got to be from Pittsburgh or something down that way.
Was he saying yuns and yins? And was he eating shitty pizza that was only partially cooked?
And then when I bought the book and I was reading about him and it said Pittsburgh, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
They can spot each other, these guys. Yin should really try this pizza. It's not cooked at all. It's so good.
They eat pizza with the cheese falling off while slugging a Yingling.
There's nothing wrong with Yingling. I like Yingling.
Yingling light, I like. I do not like regular Yingling.
No?
I don't know why. I just don't love the taste. But Yingling light I can do.
Yeah, you didn't used to be able to get Yingling in Ohio, so it was always a thing if someone was going to Pennsylvania. Hey, pick me up a case of Yingling.
Right.
You know, the second they had it in a distributor in Ohio, I never bought it again. You're like, this is terrible. I didn't know what I was talking about all these years.
What's funny is like that was during my era too. Like it only recently became available within the last
within the last 10
decade
years.
or so.
Yeah.
So when I was in college, I'm in like mid Ohio, and there's people from Pennsylvania and West Virginia and all about, and they're talking about Yingling. And, this, and Yingling, it's so good. And gotta get some. Oh, I can't wait to go home and bring Yingling back after Christmas. And I tried it. I'm like, it's like Budweiser-ish. Like it's not. It's okay. This is what you're going nuts about.
It's not that great.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been okay. Like I would drink it if you give it to me, but Yingling Light I actually prefer.
What's it? The gold or black and tan? They're real dark one.
Oh, I don't like those at all.
I like that
one.
one.
I don't know if I've ever had that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Isn't there a black and tan with like a Guinness? Like one of those
Guinness and Bass, right?
Is that what it is?
Those are good. I don't like the Yingling one though.
I've never
had the Guinness one.
Is that it? A Bass? Black and tan?
There's a whole list.
Yeah, there's a couple. Black and this, black and that. I think I want to say it's a Bass ale.
Correct us on
If I'm wrong, go fuck yourself.
Isn't it what's a Starry Night? Is it with Guinness or with Jaeger where you add Goldschlager? Because it's dark and then you have like the little gold crystals.
Yuck. Jaeger and Goldschlager?
It could be in a Guinness. I can't remember. Either way, I wouldn't drink that either.
Does not sound good.
No. I do love Guinness. I don't necessarily love when it's mixed with things.
I like Guinness a lot too.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Big fan.
Okay.
Getting to Detective Joe Recarey, he has since passed away. He was born in Queens, New York, and eventually ended up on the Palm Beach police force. A quote from his obituary:
was one of the most decorated police officers in the history of the department, with more than 150 commendations, 11 Officer of the Month awards, and a 2013 Palm Beach Police Foundation Officer of the Year award.
It's impressive.
Both of these guys have quite the damn resume.
Yeah, especially Reiter. When I read all his stuff, I'm like, yeah, how the fuck? Why is this guy a police chief? But
he was trained for everything else.
Yeah, he just, according to stuff I read, he just liked being kind of low in there with the community
and in Florida. And
Reiter already had Epstein on his radar, as knowing Epstein was a very wealthy and powerful person, but feeling like something was off about him. In 2004, officers on Reiter's force had relayed to him complaints that they were getting from people who lived in Epstein's neighborhood about young girls coming and going late at night and hanging around by Epstein's gated entrance. Reiter had officers go investigate it, but at the time they found no evidence of underage girls going to Epstein's. In his deposition regarding some of the stuff, he said they thought it could be, easily be some type of prostitution going on. He was like, but we're not gonna, waste resources to go stake out this guy's house.
Yeah.
Unless we have proof, something saying like underage girls or something like that.
Still would think Epstein might be a little more cautious, try to blend in more. Bunch of young girls like outside your gate in the middle of the night. It doesn't sound great.
No.
It sounds like a great idea.
It's just that arrogance, though.
Yeah.
What's everyone going to do?
Yeah.
It's like if you saw his neighborhood, they show it or look at pictures, it's really secluded. Like the houses are like his had these big like bushes, shrubs, I don't know, whatever, but like huge ones. It's all really like sealed off from each other's house. So having young girls just hanging out by the street is going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Right. Dope.
Around the time the complaints came in, Epstein went to the police department to personally donate $90,000 to Reiter for whatever the department needed. So he just walked in, went to Reiter's office and handed him a check for $90,000. Reiter noted that he felt something was off about Epstein, and the young woman with Epstein raised his suspicions. That young woman was Nadia Marchenkova, age 19 at the time. We talked about her in part 1 as one of the people in Epstein's inner circle. This is the woman that Epstein was accused of purchasing when she was 15 years old from Czechoslovakia. The first thing Reiter noticed was that Epstein didn't introduce Nadia to him. Like basically she didn't exist. And then he noticed something was off about her body language, that she stood really still, didn't really move much and looked straight down at the ground, never made eye contact, never said a word, anything.
Fits the profile. I have no doubt that you can buy 15-year-old girls to, in different places in the world. Sure.
Yeah. In certain countries. Yeah.
Also, show note, Czechoslovakia doesn't exist anymore.
Can confirm.
I just don't want the audience to think that we didn't know that because they're going to be emailing us and telling us that. So,
you mean the same group of people that don't know that Australia is a continent, Dave? I don't think so. No one's emailing us about geography. The same people that don't know time zones when we're doing Zooms and happy hours and all that. We're safe.
Okay.
But thank you for clarifying.
I'll take your word.
Professor Dave, thank you. Hey, real quick. It's been a
I
while.
haven't heard that in a while.
Throwback.
At least in the middle of a show. Usually it's saved for the end.
It's the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Two different
Oh,
countries.
okay. I was wondering. I was like, well, wait, he said they broke. It's not it's broken up, but what does it become? I thought you just meant like Germany and Italy. I thought that was usually the former Czechoslovakia. Thank you for the education, though.
Anytime.
The more you know.
I mean, all those boundaries they drew in after World War I when they made up those countries that weren't really full of the same kinds of ethnic groups proved to be problematic later, I think.
You don't say.
I'm sorry. We can go back to the story now.
If you want to give us a whole history on Europe, we'll sit here and listen if you'd like. People want to know.
So Reiter had this bad feeling about Epstein since 2004. Now he's got this written statement from Mary about, what happened to her. So with Mary's statement, Reiter instructed Officer Pagan to set up a phone call between Mary and Wendy. Since Wendy recruited Mary, the thought was to see if Wendy would arrange for Mary to visit Epstein again. This is a transcript from the phone call.
I'm going to read Wendy and Dave's going to read Mary so people know what the hell's going on. Hey, what's up?
Nothing.
I talked to Jeffrey and I'm going to his house tomorrow morning. I'm going to set something up for you.
Cool. Like, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow morning when I go to his house about it.
How much would I get paid?
Talk to him. I'll talk to him tomorrow and then I'll bring you in the next day. You can talk to him about it. I don't know. You're going to have to talk to him about it. I mean, I don't really work for him like that. I just bring girls to him and they work for him. You can ask him like, what can I do to make more money? The more you do, the more you get paid.
Do you want me to bring my sister for you so that we can get paid more or something?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm working tomorrow and me and him are going to put a schedule together for you and your sister. So I'll call you tomorrow when I leave Jeffrey with a schedule.
Okay. Well, I don't have a phone. So if you guys call me, I'd have to know what time so I could get the phone.
Okay. I'll leave you a message. That's fine. I'll leave you a message.
Bring your sister, huh? Yikes. How old's her sister?
I think younger than hers.
Man.
If I'm correct. So, I mean, right off the bat, that's pretty damning.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you would consider that pretty damning.
That's not great.
That would land one of us in jail.
For a long time. Sure.
Yeah.
With this, Reiter launched a full-scale investigation into Epstein. First, to surveil his mansion and collect Epstein's trash for evidence. It didn't take long for detectives to find a piece of paper in Epstein's garbage that had both Mary and Wendy's name written on it. From there, Reiter needed to start building a case and specifically find more victims. Back in 2004, we talked about there were the complaints of young girls coming and going from Epstein's. And in Wendy's phone call with Mary, she said her job was to bring girls to Epstein. So he's like, there has to, obviously there's more victims out there.
Right.
In the beginning of September of 2005, Epstein called Reiter to ask him if they had purchased the firearm simulator they needed with the $90,000 donation he gave. Number one, Reiter never told Epstein what they were using that money for. So, huge red flag. Reiter told Epstein they were still looking into which one to buy, and Epstein told him, well, if you end up needing more money, to let him know that he would pay for the whole thing. So now Reiter knows that Epstein knows that there's an investigation into him. So in his mind, he's like, got to move quick and do everything by the book. So this guy can't come back with powerful lawyers and
squash the whole thing.
Yeah.
So did he have a mole in the police department? He had someone that was giving him updates?
That's what you
likely.
Yeah. Because there was people that had said that he had bragged multiple times saying like, I own the Palm Beach Police Department and stuff.
Not Reiter, motherfucker. What you own is an egg dick. Yep. A tiny, what was it? Tiny wee wee.
Yep.
Egg dick.
Thus far, it's been called tiny. It's been called a wee wee. It's been called an egg dick. It's been called deformed. That is not something I want my name attached to ever. Also, the pedophilia.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just the term wee wee, it puts it in perspective of the girl's age.
Oh, yeah.
In my mind.
Absolutely.
You know? And I don't think we talked about it, but the book Filthy Rich that I read for a lot of this stuff, that one really lays out, like right in the beginning, Mary's age. Like it talks about her bedroom. It talks about how there's teenager stuff, but it's like the in-between kid and teenager phase where she still has stuffed animals.
Yeah.
Listening to Britney Spears. Like it really paints the picture for that this is a kid that has zero experience with this kind of stuff.
Worse. Because, grown-ups don't listen to Britney Spears. Is that what you meant?
Yeah. I think I texted you after I read that part explaining it. I'm like, well, now, the first thing I thought was this 14-year-old girl and Mike listen to the same music.
I don't believe I've actually listened to Britney Spears in about 20 years.
Really?
Yeah.
You haven't listened to a single song?
Oh, I mean, some of the old classic hits, but of course, everyone loves those.
Yeah.
I mean, she's literally the greatest female pop artist of all time, as voted by Rolling Stone magazine, by GQ magazine, Playboy magazine, Billboards magazine, myself. We've all agreed that she's the greatest female pop artist of all time. Well, you can look it up. It's all there.
Okay.
It's on our Wikipedia page. Just give me 10 minutes.
So on September 11th, 2005, a teenager named Allison, which is an alias, at the time she was 18, was pulled over by police and she had marijuana on her. The officer put her in cuffs, and when she was in the backseat of the car, she started telling him that in exchange for not getting in trouble for the weed, she knows all about a guy in Palm Beach paying high school girls for sex. And she's one of the girls. She had been going to Epstein since she was between 15 and 16 years old. According to how the report and everything goes down, is this cop was like, didn't know that this investigation was happening. So it's like, what the fuck is this girl talking about, But once Reiter heard about it, he and Recarey went through all the garbage or all the trash they had been taking from Epstein's house. And sure enough, Allison's name and cell phone number were on some of the papers found in the trash.
Well, that's a good bit of corroboration.
Yeah.
Also, why is a young girl getting put in handcuffs for having weed? Just stop. Florida. Ridiculous.
He's a little fired up over there.
The words handcuffs and weed should not be in the same sentence.
Well, unless you're pre-gaming with some weed and then you just handcuff your lady to the bedpost and you're having a fun night.
Well, all right.
I mean, that's how I did it in college, right? That's how everyone does it.
Is that how you did your single weed?
We would do a weed and then we would handcuff each other and take turns and yeah. The end. Then I'd run if we got low or felt like we were, sobering up, I'd run out back to like the woods and I'd pick some more weeds and then we'd come back in and we would light them and smoke them and
Oh, so you're smoking like dandelions and stuff.
That's a weed. That's legitimately a weed. Am I wrong? I got like a blunt. There's like that yellow flower hanging out of the end. I'm sitting there like I'm like fucking Snoop Dogg.
So Detective Recarey interviewed Allison, and this next part is from his report. And this is the stuff that was put into, like all these long quotes that you're going to read, Mike. This is all from the probable cause affidavit that was filed to arrest Jeffrey Epstein.
Allison stated that during her many visits, a routine was established between her and Epstein. She would enter the house and get naked in the bedroom. He would then start with a back massage. Epstein would roll onto his back, allow her to massage his chest area. Allison stated that Epstein would then begin to masturbate himself, at the same time would insert his fingers in her vagina and masturbate her with his fingers. Allison explained Epstein would continue this process until he ejaculated. He would then utilize a vibrator/massager on her vagina until Allison climaxed. Allison advised that during her frequent visits, Epstein asked for her real age, and Allison stated she was 16. Epstein advised her not to tell anyone her real age. Allison advised that things escalated within the home as Epstein would instruct and pay Allison to have intercourse with his female friend, Nadia Marchenkova. Allison explained that intercourse included using strap-on dildos, large rubber penises, and other devices Epstein had at his disposal. Epstein would watch them have intercourse and masturbate himself. Occasionally, Epstein would then join in during the female-on-female intercourse and provide oral sex to both Allison and Marchenkova. This occurred during the time Allison was 16 years of age. Allison advised this continued to escalate during a 2-year period. The routine became familiar to Allison. Epstein's assistant, Sarah Kellen, would telephone her every time Epstein was in the town of Palm Beach and would place appointments for her visit and work for Epstein. Each time something new was introduced, additional monies were produced and offered for Allison to allow the acts to happen. Allison consented to perform all these acts, but was adamant that there was an understanding with Epstein that no vaginal penetration would occur with his penis. Allison explained Epstein's penis was deformed. She explained that his penis was oval-shaped. She claimed when Epstein's penis was erect, it was thick toward the bottom, but was thin and small towards the head portion. She called Epstein's penis egg-shaped. She stated Epstein would photograph Marchenkova and her naked and having sex and probably display the photographs within the home. Allison stated during one visit to Epstein's house in which she provided a massage to Epstein, his female friend, Nadia Marchenkova, was also present. Allison provided the massage in which Marchenkova and her would fondle each other's breasts and kiss for Epstein to enjoy. Towards the end of this massage, Epstein grabbed Allison and turned her over onto her stomach on the massage table and forcibly inserted his penis into her vagina. Allison stated Epstein began to pump his penis in her vagina. She became upset over this. She said her head was being held against the table forcibly as he continued to pump inside her. She screamed no, and Epstein stopped. She told him that she did not want to have his penis inside of her. Epstein did not ejaculate inside of her and apologized for his actions and subsequently paid her $1,000 for that visit. Allison stated that she knows he still displays her photographs throughout the house.
I don't get why kids, like you can, when you have all that money, you can get girls all day, every day to do that. Not, some dudes, I guess. Or you think it's because of his weird cock that like adult women would be like, fuck is that? And more kids weren't going to say anything? Is there some of that in here, maybe?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's like $1 million question, right? Like, why does that happen? Is it the power of it? Is it that he's turned on by kids' bodies? Yeah. Is it the fact that he just likes that he can get away with it, so that turns him on? Is it all the above?
So strange.
It's very strange because some of them, like, they really, really look like kids. Mm-hmm. Like, you can tell, like, right off the bat. It's not like some of these girls, it's not like teenagers that could pass for being 18 or something.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them, they look like 14-year-old kids. This was the part, this was one of that report was something that shocked me. I didn't realize like how deep some of this went and how, I guess,
sounds like
graphic it was.
Well, and just that impulse, like she's doing exactly what you wanted her to do, but all of a sudden you just turn her over, flip her on the bed, and you just rape her.
It sounds like
Just
there's
like that.
so many other of these girls too.
Who knows how many there are.
Yeah, how many others didn't say no or didn't, cry out and just took it?
What creep.
This was a huge development in the case. Reiter and Recarey had been working around the clock, talking to these teenagers and young women, building basically what would end up being a pyramid scheme of Epstein raping and sexually assaulting underage girls. All of this was statutory rape and sexual trafficking of minors. But now with Allison's statement, they had a forcible rape where Epstein had inserted himself into a minor.
It is a pyramid scheme, isn't it? It's really strange.
It's 100% a pyramid scheme, and we'll talk about it later. He would just get these girls to recruit other girls, and it just went and went and went. How far it went out, who knows?
Some kind of network the guy's building there. Did you know if you stand Epstein's cock on the vernal equinox, it'll stand up on its end? Just like an egg. Is that like an old science experiment?
Something like that.
On the spring equinox, the egg should stand straight up on its end.
I wonder if his, well...
So I thought maybe his did too. Never mind. It's ridiculous.
In the probable cause affidavit that they would later present as evidence to arrest Epstein, Reiter and Recarey also included Wendy in the statement. And according to Recarey's report, it said,
approximately 2 years ago, just after she turned 17 years of age, Wendy was approached by a friend named Molly at the Canopy Beach Resort in Riviera Beach. Wendy was asked if she wanted to make money. She was told she would have to provide a massage and she could make $200. Wendy thought about the offer and agreed to meet with Jeffrey. Molly, whose last name is unknown, and Tony, whose also his last name is unknown, picked Wendy up and she was taken to Epstein's house. Upon her arrival to the house, she was introduced to Epstein in the kitchen of the house. She was also introduced to a white female known to her as Sarah Kellen. She was led upstairs to the main bedroom, known to her as Jeff Epstein's bedroom.
That's NASCAR Sarah, right, Mike?
That is the Sarah Kellen who married former NASCAR driver. Sarah arranged the massage table and covered the table with a sheet. She brought out the massage oils and laid them next to the massage bed. Sarah then left the room and informed Wendy Jeff would be in a minute. Jeff entered the room wearing only a towel. He removed the towel and laid nude on the massage table. He laid on the table on his stomach and picked a massage oil for Wendy to rub on him. I asked how he tried to touch her. Wendy stated that Epstein grabbed her buttocks and she felt uncomfortable. Wendy stated she performed the massage naked. At the conclusion of the massage, Epstein paid Wendy $200.
Question. Should a guy with this much money have paid people maybe a little better?
the number is very strange. It's always $200, no matter what. No matter what they do, pretty much.
I mean, I'm guessing the guy who's raping underage girls, like, just isn't thinking, like, oh, what can financially help them or what would be better?
I'm just thinking maybe they'd be more prone to keep their mouth shut if they were making,
I don't know,
a little bit
14
larger.
years old, $200?
I guess. Yeah.
He also preyed on all lower income girls that
For
came
$200 is going to be a lot of money. Yeah.
all lower income girls. You know, a lot of them came from broken homes, drug issues. He wasn't going out and doing this to, I don't know.
Maybe paying them more too makes them more prone to get caught. Too much flash. You know, like that scene in Goodfellas when they pull off that big heist and then they're showing up with new Cadillacs and fur coats and De Niro gets all pissed. Like, what? You can't be showing this off.
Yeah.
Like the one girl got caught with.
Yeah, that
what was
actually
her name?
happened, right?
Yeah, with
Mary.
$200. And, you know, if she's rolling around with 1,000, now it becomes an even bigger issue.
That's a good point.
I don't know. I feel like I'm making excuses now for this guy. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do, but.
I think some of it kind of goes along with serial killers, how serial killers a lot of times just target prostitutes because no one's gonna think twice about if they go missing.
Yeah.
If one of these girls went to the police, they have a not great record with the police. They have drug issues and stuff. Police are gonna be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you've been going to this multi-million-dollar mansion, and like just the credibility wouldn't be there. I think that was part of his plan.
Well, that's a great point.
After the massage, Epstein stated to Wendy that he understood she was not comfortable, but he would pay her if she brought over some girls. He told her the younger the better. Wendy stated she once tried to bring a 23-year-old female, and Epstein stated that the female was too old. Wendy stated that in total, she only remembers 6 girls that she brought to see Epstein. Each time she was paid $200. Wendy said at the time she brought these girls to Epstein's house, they were all 14 to 16 years of age.
Yeah, you get yourself indicted for trafficking doing that kind of shit.
There's an interview in one of her later interviews with the police. They're like, just so you know, you've implicated yourself in this crime. And my opinion of her is she's a victim just as much as everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
She was brought in underage. It's the same thing with that Nadia. What did we say her last name is?
Marchenkova. Yeah. She was 19, right?
Yeah, and I know in part 1 I said I don't understand how these women aren't in prison. I was speaking about Sarah Kellen and Nadia. Mm-hmm. I kind of backtracked on that thought a little bit as I was writing this one, because if the allegations are true and she was purchased at 15 years old and brought over here, she's just as much of a victim as anybody else too. So what's she gonna do if she says, yeah, like this whole thing with that Allison girl, if she's like, yeah, I'm not doing that, Jeffrey's like, yeah, well, I fucking own you, so you are.
Yeah, I literally purchased you.
Yeah.
It's just like the girl in Nexium who was bringing people into the branding cult where, she was the initial victim herself, but she almost got charged in that whole thing for trafficking.
Yeah.
Who was that again? That wasn't the actress, was it?
The actress's daughter.
Yeah.
Her name escapes me right now, but...
It's fucking knee pads. That's all I think about when I think of Nexium. That fucking goofy-ass photo and how the fuck that guy got so many girls. And then... when you do look like that and you are able to get those girls, how you can treat them like that.
I feel like this is it's a gray area. You know what I mean? Like the law,
what do you mean?
With Wendy, that she could be easily indicted for trafficking.
Yeah, like, I mean,
it's a gray area in my mind. Like, I get what the law says, but in my mind, I'm like, well, she
doesn't know what she's doing.
Right.
She's making money. She's trying to help her friends make money, and that you're going to do things that you don't maybe like doing, but you get paid well, and I don't know.
Well, the cops are just going to use it as leverage.
Right.
India Oxenberg, that's who I was thinking of. It just came to me.
That is not at all who I was thinking about. Who's the big time celebrity that got involved in
Allison Mack?
That's who I was thinking of.
She's going to go to prison eventually. She's done.
She's going bye-bye.
Right. That's why when you guys said, like, oh, she's innocent, I was like, wait a minute. No, that's not who I'm thinking of. Allison Mack,
Reiter and Recarey were able to get statements from 5 victims and 17 witnesses with the exact story. They were paid $200 for each girl they recruited, $200 for a massage that involved sexual assault of a minor, and more money if they were willing to take that sexual assault further. In all, this investigation would continue, and that number would rise to 80 known underage girls assaulted by Epstein. But for the probable cause affidavit, it was 5 victims, 17 witnesses. Reiter took the affidavit to Judge Laura Johnson, who signed off on a search warrant for Epstein's Palm Beach mansion.
At this point in our story, there seems to be a large number of corroborating witnesses and evidence, and things look bad for Jeffrey at this point.
And we'll get to that next week. Stay tuned after this ad where Dave tells you the complete history of Czechoslovakia. We'll be right back. Is there something interfering with your happiness? Something keeping you from achieving your 2020 goals? Let's face it, these are certainly trying times. From being cooped up inside your home to wondering how you're going to pay next month's bills, we're all experiencing some form of stress or strain on our mental health. And for that, BetterHelp is here for us. BetterHelp is an online mental health provider that will assess your needs and match you up with your own licensed professional therapist. The best part? No waiting rooms. That's a pretty big deal if you're as impatient as I am. BetterHelp is a safe and private online environment that will have you communicating with a counselor within the first 24 hours. And once you've begun, you can send your counselor a message at any time, always getting a helpful response in a timely manner. You even have the ability to schedule weekly video or phone sessions, all from the comfort of your very own couch. BetterHelp is available worldwide and has a broad range of expertise available, including licensed professional counselors who specialize in depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, sleeping, trauma, anger, family conflict, LGBT matters, grief, and self-esteem. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're currently recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. Not happy with your counselor? No worries. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches and makes it easy and free to change counselors if needed. Remember, everything you share with your BetterHelp counselor is completely confidential. And while it's not a crisis line, it is a convenient, professional, and affordable way to seek the help you deserve. Financial aid is even offered to those who qualify. Want to hear how BetterHelp assisted people just like you? Check out the testimonials posted daily on their site. Look, we here at Necronomipod want you to start living a happier life. So, as a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/necro. Join over 1 million people already taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/necro.
On October 20th, 2005, police executed the search warrant on Epstein's mansion. When they served the warrant, one of Epstein's employees was on the phone, presumably talking to Epstein, letting him know what was going on. They knew they needed to conduct this search by the book with no errors because, like we talked about before, Epstein was going to have a team of lawyers, and any fuck-ups, they were going to jump all over. While police went inside, Recarey read the warrant to Epstein's employee, and this was filmed so there could be no question if something wasn't done or said correctly.
Smart. Good move.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So all of this, all of the allegations, everything that came out, essentially, at least up to this point, all happened in Florida. Nothing really with regards to his like New York mansion and like all those weird eyeballs and all that shit.
Yeah, we'll get to, we haven't even talked about the island yet, and that's the thing everybody
Gotcha.
centers around. He called it Little St. James Island. That's the one where, that's when we'll get into Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew.
Oh, can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. This is all the Florida. I'm sorry. Oh, Mr. President.
It's never happened to you in an island. I don't know what an island is. Never been outside of Arkansas.
I could see Bill Clinton saying that he's never left Arkansas.
What's your definition of island?
Depends on your definition of left.
I mean, Arkansas, if you consider it the whole world, and I've never been outside of Arkansas, so.
All right, so it's all in Florida still.
Yeah, this stuff is all Florida. As far as the world knew, at this point, we're talking just Florida. The island is not this big thing the media knows about, like all the things going on there.
And New York has been nothing thus far as well. Yeah.
The first thing Reiter noticed was that every girl's description of Epstein's house was exactly the same. The winding stairs to a long hallway that was carpeted pink, the spa area that had a green and pink couch, the wooden chest of sex toys, all of that was accurate. Second, it looked like someone had tipped off Epstein because things looked like they had been moved. Shelves looked like they had been moved around. Hard drives were missing from computers, and some pictures were removed from the house, including that long hallway to the spa area. Remember in part one we said at most 18 years old. Some of those pictures of naked girls.
Well, that girl just referenced that she knew he still had pictures hanging on the wall.
Right. So a lot of those were taken down. So it really makes you wonder what was taken out and like what was on those hard drives, because what Reiter and Recarey found was extremely damning. What they found were many naked pictures of underage and young women, some of which were the girls named as victims in the probable cause affidavit. So
I feel like if the police found one naked picture of an underage girl in my house, like I'd be gone for 10 years immediately, you know?
Well, as well as Chris Hansen showing up, Dateline NBC, there's helicopters overhead. Yeah, it'd be a thing.
The fact that one of the underage girls that's in the probable cause affidavit is photographed in his house.
Right, exactly.
Naked, for the police and everyone to see, it should be a close. We shouldn't even be talking about this
How do
for
you come
another.
back from that?
Yeah. We shouldn't even have.
This really wouldn't even be a topic.
No.
He would just go away and that'd be it.
Right. There shouldn't be a part 4 or a potential part 5.
No fucking way. I cannot allow this piece of shit to be the reason we go part 5 for the first time ever. We must wrap this up in 4.
There shouldn't be any more conversation.
Yeah.
They found notepads with girls' names, dates, phone numbers, and little notes next to them like, quote, "I have girls for him," all in Sarah Kellen's handwriting. On the computer that was on Epstein's desk, they found pictures of the girls named in the probable cause affidavit that looked like they came from a hidden camera in a clock in Epstein's office. Also on this desk was Allison's high school transcript.
Fuck is that all about?
Maybe that's him trying to promised her, I'll get you into a college, so I need your transcript, or I'll get you into the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
The West Memphis 3 went to all were convicted on like a tenth of the evidence than we've just heard about.
Like
here.
they existed, and that was the evidence against them.
Yeah, right.
This guy literally has child porn on his walls, and they're like, well, no, I don't know.
Florida.
They also found a lot of random shit, like tons of UFC DVDs.
I want to talk about that.
He just had a ton of UFC.
Some old Tank Abbott fights from the early 90s.
Ken Shamrock versus Frank Shamrock, brother versus brother. Dan Severn in there just choking people out.
Severn.
He had a lot of B-list movies, books on like sexual books on like slave, like master and slave type stuff.
Probably some egg cookbooks.
A lot of
Ones that really involve like massaging the end. That's nope. I regret that instantly.
a lot of peach flavored stuff, like peach lube, peach everything. Lots of peach stuff in that spa
into that.
room. Yeah, and a lot of penis and vagina shaped soaps everywhere.
Okay. There probably is a good market for like sex shaped soaps, no? I feel like that's something.
I mean, I wouldn't buy it, but yeah, I guess.
I mean, it's out there. I mean, yeah, it's not my thing, but I'm not here to kink shame. I mean, unless you're fucking kids, then I'm going to kink shame you.
Well, yeah.
I mean, maybe like it would be like a funny gag gift or something.
Yeah.
Not for a billionaire to just to be having.
I mean, it's very weird given the fact that all the other evidence this guy has in his house. Yeah, that doesn't help his case. Wow.
Penis soap, huh? All right.
Yeah.
At least you're clean. I don't know. Cleanliness is next to godliness, as I always say.
So like stuff like this makes me think about randomly, like, okay, if the police just ever showed up at my house randomly with a search warrant, like what would they find? Because like then you're gonna like everything you find is gonna be investigated and it's gonna be overblown. What could they find in my house that's like the weirdest thing that like I would have like in my office or something like that? And I don't know.
I have a 12-inch dragon dildo that somebody mailed us to the show, so they'd find that at my house.
Yeah. See, you'd be in big trouble if there was ever some allegations made. I did not have a 12-inch.
So shout out to Bad Dragon dildos.
Yep.
Pretty durable.
Hey, all right, man. Hey, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know. So like I think about that and I'm like, I don't know what it like.
I don't know.
I have a bunch of hand sanitizer in my desk drawer. Are people going to find that and be like, oh, he's using this to jerk off? I don't know. Like
Cleanest cock in town, this guy, huh?
Look at these different scents. He loves it.
Will they find a bunch of test drawings for your Amazon Necronomipod shirts that you designed?
No, because literally first draft makes it, and that is it. Both of those shirts we would release were literally me sitting there at my desk. You know, I think, you know, the one I had a couple 19 Crimes Cabernet in me, a couple glasses of 19 Crimes. Yeah, it was $10 at the gas station, Dave. Settle down, Pally. It's not that expensive. I do love 19 Crimes wine, though, for the record.
That wine was committed more crimes than Epstein, apparently. Guiltier.
Yeah, so I've been both times. I've been buzzed. Like the first time I was trying to show you guys how I can't draw, and you're like, yeah, we're fucking using that. The second one, I was like, all right, let me try to do something here. And I drew our three faces. And I think that was in it. I had, you know, a couple wines in me, and there you go. No, first take on both. That is 100% shoot truth.
All right. I'm going to work on an Epstein penis egg shirt.
I'll tell you the way to go, Dave. Hand draw it. People love that shit, apparently. Like, apparently they like to pretend like you're not a good artist, and it makes them buy more because they all pretend like my drawings aren't fantastic. People still don't know what's in that guy's hand in my first drawing.
It's highly debated.
I clearly knew
over the internet.
what I was trying to do, and then I saw people debating it, and it really cut me deep that people were like, oh, no, it's obviously this, and that's not what I was doing.
It's clearly a tampon on fire that you're ashing, right?
That's exactly it. I was trying to send a message. Like, it was like a feminism, like, I'm going to burn this tampon and fuck all those people who hate women. That's exactly what I was going for that night after 3 bottles of 19 Crimes. A burning tampon as a proof of my feminism.
Success.
Because I've been called a misogynist because of all my college nicknames.
That's true. You have.
You know, people don't know those are, well, it is what it is.
So at this point in the story, it's January of 2006. Everything we've talked about, quote-wise, has been from that probable cause affidavit. And Reiter and Recarey were continuing to build that so it was airtight to get Epstein arrested. And according to Reiter, Barry Krischer, the Palm Beach County state prosecutor, said this was looking like a slam dunk case and they could probably put Epstein in jail for the rest of his life. And
seems pretty certain to me. I don't know. Evidence we've discussed.
I feel like the 3 of us could try this case and get him locked up if you'd allow us to. We fucking walk in with like the 3 Stooges music playing in the background, and we'd still be able to wrap this shit up.
Also at this time, Reiter and Recarey noticed that they were being followed by private investigators, which was something neither of them had ever heard of happening, where someone being investigated is investigating.
That's fucking bold, man.
To tail the police.
It's just another form of bullying and intimidation, like flexing your financial muscle. Like, look what I can do. You're not that powerful. I'm investigating you.
Why don't the cops just like arrest them for menacing?
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna follow me? No, that's not gonna happen because I have handcuffs and a badge.
Like there's another private investigator that got involved on the police's side, on the victim's side, and he's had done interviews and he showed in pictures where one of Epstein's private investigators is harassing one of the victims, like sitting outside her house, and he just pulls his car right up to the guy, like right up in front of the guy's car, has his camera out, taking pictures of the private investigator. And Epstein must have paid this private investigator very well because he didn't fucking flinch at all. Just kept doing what he was doing, pointing a camera at this underage girl's house.
And then there was investigating the investigators who were investigating the investigators who were investigating the cops. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And then Casey Anthony was acquitted.
It's like those Scientology assholes, where they bought the house next door to videotape them for 2 years.
Or like when you go up to one of them and point a camera at them, they just act like nothing's happening. They just continue to do what they're doing. Recarey had been keeping close contact with the victims and their families. And like I said, Epstein started having private investigators harassing the girls and their families. A private investigator urged Allison to stop helping police, that people who helped Epstein would be compensated and those who hurt him would be dealt with.
Not the most upstanding private investigators.
No.
No.
Recarey immediately filed an incident report with the state's attorney's office. Besides hiring private investigators, Epstein hired probably the strongest team of lawyers you possibly could.
Including, but not limited to, Jose Baez.
Yeah.
Has he actually been charged with anything at this point?
No.
It doesn't seem like it. Okay.
Let's get into this dream team.
A guy named Roy Black has represented multiple celebrities, but is most known for getting a guy named William Smith acquitted on rape charges, which I guess those were pretty concrete rape charges.
That was that William Kennedy Smith, Ted Kennedy's nephew, that happened in the early 90s. Yeah, that was a big case in 1991 when you guys were 5 years old. Yeah. It was all over the news.
I remember that clearly. Breaking news on my Nickelodeon.
Yeah, he got that guy off, and it was seemed pretty solid.
He also represented Rush Limbaugh, got him out of trouble for some drug-related stuff. Alan Dershowitz, who we know from the OJ case.
Oh, yeah.
Ken Starr served as the United States Circuit Judge and 39th Solicitor General of the United States. He's best known for heading the investigation of members of the Clinton administration with the whole Monica Lewinsky stuff, that whole ordeal.
Yeah, he was supposed to be looking at Whitewater, son of a bitch, not intern fucking way out of line. Fuck Ken Starr.
And Gerald LaFourche, a criminal defense attorney who was known for taking clients that no one else would touch. And I saw that he dealt with just anybody who was in a not a favorable person.
It was Abby Hoffman's lawyer, Mike, in the Chicago 7 trial.
But now it doesn't sound so bad.
Nobody wanted to touch Abby Hoffman in 1968.
There's nothing wrong with being that kind of attorney. I mean, everyone deserves a defense.
That's right.
But, in the end, people can clearly see whether or not you're actually trying to help people or if you're just kind of going after the spotlight and the media and the money. That's all I got to say about that.
Once Epstein hired these lawyers, the state's attorney's office pretty much stopped all communication with Reiter, Recarey, and all the victims' families. Reiter and Recarey were starting to realize that something was not right with how this case was being handled. And to top it off, Barry Krischer, the state attorney, now wanted to convene a grand jury to look at the charges against Epstein. This is extremely odd because in Florida, a grand jury is only required in a capital murder case. According to Reiter, he couldn't think of any other case that went to a grand jury that was like this. That this is
that's weird, huh?
Completely unheard of.
Interesting. So they can just charge you with felonies without a grand jury down there, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it's Florida.
They can also just not charge you with anything with a grand jury down there, Dave. Florida is our Australia, is it not? Like, it's just no holds barred. Every match is extreme rules. Like
Alligators.
Plus alligators. Humidity. One of the two is going to kill you. If it's not a random person who's going to get off on it.
Mm-hmm. The humidity is not fun.
I love how we all just focus on the humidity.
That was the worst part of it for me.
Florida in July is just atrocious.
Yeah.
I don't know how you live there.
I have been to Florida in several different months of the year. More than half, I feel like. It's never pleasant. Even when it's like a nice 70-degree day, the humidity, you can't breathe when you walk outside. It's so heavy. The air is just so thick.
I don't love the humidity.
You get out of the shower and you're still sweating. You're literally sweating in the shower. There's cold water hitting your body and you are still sweating.
That's not great.
Ugh. I know people's bodies can be trained for that stuff. I am not.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't for me when I was down there.
There's a lot worse reasons to hate on the state of Florida. Humidity might be top of my list, but I understand that's not fair.
Fair enough. Yeah, out west is much nicer.
Absolutely. That's why I would take California any day.
I agree.
Give me that nice weather and without the fucking humidity. I'd take the earthquakes over the humidity. Final answer.
Yeah, like I was in Death Valley last year, and it's, like 120 degrees. It's still better than Florida.
It's still bearable.
There's no humidity.
Right. It's not the most pleasant, but it's still, you can get by.
Yeah. Like I've walked around Vegas when it was 115 degrees before. Like, it's not that bad. Yeah. It's not like walking in a swamp.
Ugh.
Now in the story, we're at April 17th, 2006. Communication is now completely cut off between police and the state's attorney's office. Recarey had been calling multiple times in the morning of April 17th with no answer from the attorney's office. So he was like, fuck this. I'm just going to drive there and go talk to someone in person. Recarey drove to the office where it seemed like he was the last person they expected to show up. Like, It was like, oh.
Hell yeah.
The assistant state attorney said she was going to call him back, but hadn't gotten a chance yet. Like,
I meant to call you.
Yeah.
Just haven't gotten a chance yet. He fucking drops her with a stone cold stunner and then keeps walking. That's how I picture him walking through. Like he's stone cold. Like either just chair shots, stunners, cracking beers. Like he's just raising hell throughout this whole office.
She informed Recarey that a plea deal had been offered to Epstein, and if he accepted, there would be no need for a grand jury. This deal was in regard to what happened to Mary. None of the other victims were mentioned in this deal, pretty much like they were just erased from the case. This deal would give Epstein 5 years probation and no unsupervised contact with minors. There's a whole law in this country that we're going to talk about probably next week that you have to contact victims before plea deals are given.
Yeah.
So this is the first step or the first part here where it's like laws don't matter anymore when we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
Right. Clearly.
If you were wondering how these victims were pretty much dropped from the case, Alan Dershowitz presented evidence from the girls' MySpace pages to discredit them. In the questionnaire on one of the victims' MySpace page, it said, best physical feature, ass and eyes.
We're back to Mike's transcript.
Ever drank, ever smoked pot? Yeah. Ever shoplifted? Lots. Ever skinny dipped? Yeah. Do you want to lose your virginity? Already lost it.
I don't see how that discredits anyone of anything.
No.
Sounds like pretty fucking awesome life.
It sounds like every teenage person's MySpace page. Why is that even relevant?
Smoking weed, stealing, and fucking. Yeah.
Well, I think it's safe to say only one of us here ever really had a MySpace page. Because I certainly did not. And Dave was too old for that by that time.
Or if we can find Ian's MySpace in the Wayback Machine.
Oh my God,
I
that'd be
tried to
awesome.
find it not that long ago, actually.
Damn it.
Here's the thing I
Doesn't
remember.
exist.
Because I would occasionally, you can like click on people's like AOL Instant Messenger. They could have like a MySpace link, or I don't know, somehow you can get to it. But like you could have like background music, like when you went to their page.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, of course, it was Dashboard Confessional all the time.
You're turning Dashboard into the new Asking Alexandria.
Like you go to their page and there's just like music playing. It's like, what the fuck? And then it was like that old school, like fucking Heaven's Gate font and everything's scrolling and ugh. Oh boy.
I was always changing up my song on there.
Of course, you had to fit your mood for the day. So that
much.
when people visited their page, they were like either like, oh my God, is he going through something? Listen to this song. Mine would have just been Beth all the time.
What would it have been?
Kiss, Beth. Oh. Beth, I hear you calling, but I can't come home right now. And people would be like, oh, is he upset? Or is he just like, hanging out with his boys?
Exactly.
And they just want to rock and roll all night and party every day. Oh, fuck. I wish I would have rocked MySpace back in the day. I should have been on it.
Every time Ian updated his songs, but like, I'm going to get so much pussy putting this song.
That's probably what it was.
I'll take her out for some uncooked pizza and I'm going to fucking bang her.
Well,
playing my Dashboard Confessional CD.
In all fairness, where he grew up, that probably would have worked big time, right? Like that. You all love that uncooked pizza.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's enough. That's enough. You bust his ass all right to this research and we just sit here and shit on him.
I tried to find it not that long ago because I was looking for some band stuff from like right after high school that I did with one of my friends. Couldn't find any of it. It's all gone.
So are they really just deleting MySpace pages? Is that?
Yeah, it was all like I could get to the page, but nothing would load properly. None of the pictures or nothing would load.
Just go to myspace.com/arrow through the heart 72.
It's also not. Throw a couple X's in there. And
arrow through the heart XOXO XXX 72.
Oh, that's really funny.
So Reiter and Recarey were beyond pissed off at this point. I can't even imagine being in their position because it's like if you're a police officer that really holds up the law and you're a good police officer, this has to be like
Oh yeah.
is my whole career just based off of a fucking lie? Like you can just do whatever you want?
Be extremely disheartening.
Yeah. Reiter took an unheard step in that on May 1st, 2006, he formally wrote a letter to the state's attorney's office requesting an arrest warrant for Epstein. Like basically, I want this fucking guy arrested.
Yep.
And the big one, that Barry Kersher recuse himself from the case because he had obviously been compromised.
The balls on this guy.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Good for him.
And when he did this is when people started telling him to back off. People in higher circles of power. There, in one of his depositions, he doesn't name the politician, but he says a prominent Florida politician told him, you shouldn't invest this much time into this case, and kind of back off. And Reiter's like, you should stop talking to me now. Back away from me and stop talking.
Wow. I wonder
Good for
I wonder
him.
who that was.
Reiter is the one. No, it was Recarey that passed away.
Yeah.
Reiter was the chief of police.
Let's get him on the show and so he can name names.
Man, how do you talk to a man that badass?
Yeah, sir.
Hello, sir.
Ask you a question.
You stood up to the state of Florida
The whole fucking state, pretty much.
and said, "Suck my dick. I'm not stopping."
How I understand this going down is that Epstein didn't want that plea deal. Like, he thought he could do better or wanted better than that, which is pretty outrageous. 5 years probation for all that shit that they found. But a grand jury was convened. On June 28th, Mary, who at the time was 15 years old, was brought in front of the grand jury. She wasn't prepped by the state's attorney. In fact, she hadn't spoken to anyone from that office ever. Just like we brought up last week.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Last week we talked about Stanley shit, saying that this is a child.
Stanley from The Office. Yeah.
This really, this really is a fucking child that was just thrown to the wolves and being questioned by Epstein's lawyers. Fucking Alan Dershowitz and Ken Starr are just tearing apart this 15-year-old girl, and she hasn't been prepped at all. Bringing up her MySpace page, all this stuff, making her look like this juvenile delinquent child that, how could you believe anything she says?
Those two are pieces of shit. Ken Starr and Alan Dershowitz. Outrageous victim blaming here.
Yeah. This grand jury came back with an even more lenient recommendation for charges than the original plea deal was. One felony count of soliciting prostitution with no mention of Mary being underage. Here's the thing with that is that under law, there is no such thing as an underage prostitute. That doesn't exist. Like, let's say that there's a 14-year-old girl working as a prostitute and you get caught paying for sex. It doesn't matter that she was technically working as a prostitute. You're going to jail for child trafficking.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is no such thing in this country as an underage prostitute.
You're a trafficking victim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Mary, in this plea deal, Mary is not a trafficking victim. She's not an underage victim. She is just labeled a prostitute.
Part 3 of our series on Jeffrey Epstein is The Empire Strikes Back. Just so everyone's aware, doesn't get better from here on out. So
The egg dick strikes back.
your blood is just going to boil from here on out. And then we'll see you next week. I'm just letting you know right now.
Reiter was officially at his ends with what to do because now laws were just flat out being ignored in order to give Epstein a more favorable deal. They're just making up shit at this point. So Reiter contacted the FBI to have them investigate what had been going on in this case, which went through federal prosecutor of the Southern District of Florida, Alex Acosta,
who would later go on to be Trump's labor secretary.
who will be talked a lot about in part 4.
How about that?
Reiter then hand-delivered a letter he wrote to each of the families, which was unprecedented, along with the language in the letter. One part that stood out to me is, quote,
I do not feel that justice has been sufficiently served by the indictment that has been issued. Therefore, please know that this matter has been referred to the FBI to determine if violations of federal law have occurred. Motherfucker. He is throwing down.
Yeah.
I couldn't even... I'm sure it's happened before maybe, but for a police chief to go to multiple families with a letter, say, we failed you.
Yeah.
Justice was not served here. And I've passed it along to higher people.
I'm a big fan of this Reiter guy.
The FBI's investigation led to them finding, quote, 34 confirmed minors whose allegations of sexual abuse by Epstein included corroborating details. Also, allegations that 12-year-old triplets were flown in from France for Epstein's birthday and flown back the following day after being sexually abused by Epstein. It was alleged that young girls were recruited from Brazil and other South American countries, former Soviet countries, and Europe, and that Jean-Luc Brunel, MC2 modeling agency, was also supplying girls to Epstein. That was the one we talked about in part 1. That was his closest male friend.
12-year-olds.
12-year-olds. Triplets. Flown in for a night. Sexually abused, flown home.
There's some text message evidence of this Jean-Luc Brunel and Epstein where it's like a very young girl. And it says like, there's a note that says to Jeff from John.
It's sick.
Even with this and all the evidence provided by Reiter and Recarey, Alex Acosta, for whatever reason, didn't feel that this warranted federal charges. Instead, Epstein was given a non-prosecution agreement, which guaranteed he would not be prosecuted in the Southern District of Florida and allowed him to plead guilty to 1 count of soliciting prostitution and 1 count of procuring a minor for prostitution. This would require Epstein to serve 18 months in prison and register as a sex offender. In a more unbelievable part of the non-prosecution agreement, immunity for any potential co-conspirators was given. Like, that's not like
why? He had no leverage against anything. Like, he wasn't giving up anyone. He had nothing to trade.
It specifically names Sarah Kellen and Nadia Marchenkova, but it was that potential co-conspirators is even broader. It specifically named those two, but it says any potential co-conspirator, so anybody.
It's a sweet deal for no apparent reasons other than he had something on somebody and whatever leverage behind the scene you're never going to know about.
On September 24th, 2007, Epstein signed this deal.
Yeah, I'm sure he fucking did. Dick.
The victims were never notified that this deal was offered or signed. And that is where we will pick back up on part 4.
I told you, listeners, this was Empire Strikes Back. Like, this isn't a great one.
Yeah. You just read it, a lot of it, and it's like...
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, it really is.
Strangely, I'm hungry for eggs, though, at the end of this episode.
You want a good hard-boiled egg? Or some scrambled?
I think I do, yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, everyone's got their kink. I'm not kink shaming.
And no talk of Ghislaine this week. Maybe next week. Ghislaine, sorry, not Ghislaine.
Yeah, she was absent this week.
Yeah, in part 4, we'll get into Epstein's sentencing for this, his experience in jail, and try to wrap it all up without doing a part 5.
Boom.
We'll see.
What have been our 4 parts thus far? Jonestown, Scientology, and...
Jonestown wasn't 4. It was 3.
Was it?
Yep.
Scientology.
Come on, Mike, you're better than that.
Am I?
Well,
Have you listened to the trivia episodes? What was the other one? We did another 4-part one. Scientology. John Bonet.
your favorite.
Is that it, though? Mm-hmm. I thought there was another one recently. No. Okay. Yeah, I did like John Bonet. Oh, and this fucko now is going to join him. All right, Dave, what are your final thoughts on this one?
I'm thoroughly disgusted, I have to say. I don't know. I have a hard time empathizing with these pedos, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know what the motivation or some people are just fucked up, I guess. There's just no answer for it, I suppose. I guess we'll see next week how all this turns out. Or maybe in part 5. What about that, Ian?
Yeah.
He's committed to part 4 only.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not even going to
we currently have our
issue any promises anymore about anything.
It's probably best. We currently have our entire schedule like through May listed out. He's going to blow it all up. He's going to, if
we do a part 5, then it's just going to be like half of June's already booked then too, because
then we're just booking everything back. Yeah. Yeah, because we're already into June now with some of what we tentatively have scheduled.
The guy's a fucking pig. I mean, that's my final thought of the day.
What do you make of the whole argument that pedophilia is a mental illness? I haven't really read much into it. I know there's that argument out there, and it's interesting, but that you can't help what you're attracted to. Now, I understand you can help what you actually act upon it.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure there could be something to that. I don't know.
I find it very interesting just in general to kind of look into and read into. Again, not making any excuses. You might be sexually attracted to somebody. That doesn't mean you have to act on it and you have to rape them.
Yeah, sure.
There was something about money and what it does to your brain. I want to look at that. I'm going to read about that and bring that up next week. I think I'll fall back on that.
Oh, yeah, we're going 5 parts.
Like when you have no limits and you can buy anything in the world, does that make you want to
Right.
go to more extreme things that are.
Yeah,
even-
there was a study that was done about people with extreme amounts of wealth, because you read about this stuff and it's like, and you see the names involved and with the island, you're like, what is this, like every rich person out there fucking kids? Like, what's happening? And yeah, it's like this thing that it kind of warps your perspective, but it's like it was an actual study.
It's a different existence. I don't doubt that.
That's what I was saying earlier, though, where I feel like it's like a power thing. Like, you have so much money, and how do you make yourself feel more powerful at that point when you can buy anything you want? Well, now let's buy things that you're not supposed to buy and see if you can get away with it. And then now I own the West Palm Beach police, and it's just like, it's like a power thing almost.
I guess, but if I had that obscene amount of wealth, I would, like, I feel like I would try to end childhood poverty and hunger, not fuck kids.
You're also not sick in the head. There's
That's
also
what I
something
mean,
else
though.
to that. Like, you're like,
But if I got Epstein's wealth today, tomorrow I wouldn't want to fuck kids. I would want to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Like the study that I'm thinking of that I want to read again, it's not like, it wasn't all geared towards the fact that, of fucking kids. It was other stuff too, like defrauding people and, just the whole thing of.
Makes you a psychopath.
Yeah. And I think there is some truth to that you have to kind of be a sociopath to some level to get to that point in life. You have to step on people a lot. I think there's something to that. There was that study from a while back about CEOs, how a lot of them had traits of being a sociopath.
Yeah. Or you just invest in Dogecoin and you're good to go.
I just read an article it was actually from that Sasquatch documentary that just got released on Netflix.
Yeah.
And so I started, it was done by David Holthouse, who's a journalist. And I started reading some of his past stuff. And he has an article out, and I guess it was his big claim to fame, where when he was 7 years old, he was raped as a child, and he wrote an article on it. And that's what kind of blew him up. They turned it into a play.
Wow.
There's all kinds of stuff. And why did I bring this up? There was a whole point to it. Something we had just said. Fuck. I was trying to rack my brain over thinking about what his name was. Yeah, it'll come to me. We can keep going. We'll keep talking. It'll come back to me. I'm sorry. So eventually, the whole article is a plot that he was going to kill the guy who raped him. He bought a gun illegally, had it all marked up so ballistics wouldn't work, couldn't be traced back to him. His plan, this is the article he wrote, and he was going to confront the guy who had raped him, he was 7 years old, and it was his parents were good friends with another couple, and they had a kid that was 10 years older than him, so he was 17, and that the 17-year-old raped him one night while they were playing in the basement. And this was like his parents trusted, they had gotten along for years, and he never told a single soul about this whole house. So he had this plan. He was going to kill him. He stalked the guy. He knew his schedule. He was ready to kill him. Finally, not long before he was kind of getting ready to act on it, his mom called him and had found out about the rape. And that was what, from David's perspective, he didn't want it to get known because he didn't want to hurt his family and know that he had kept this secret. Long story short, it ends up getting out to the families and people who are in the know, close to them. And he confronts the guy just face to face. They set up a meeting. He calls him and says, "Hey, look, you either, meet with me and acknowledge me, or I'm going to start calling your house every day. You have a wife, you have kids. This is, I'm going to make this a thing." So anyways, he meets the guy who raped him, and the guy who raped him, according to his article, was very remorseful, seemed to be genuine about it, and said, "Look, at that age, at 17 years old, at that time, I just felt like other people didn't have feelings. And it didn't matter. All that mattered was me." And so I almost feel like that's what rapists do, and pedophiles is they almost just convince themselves nobody else has feelings, nobody else has emotions, no one else gets hurt. They get their jollies off, they do whatever they want to do, and it doesn't really have a lasting effect. And that's how they convince themselves there's no real victims, because they're not feeling this, they're not understanding it. Oh, I just thought that was interesting. Yeah. Again, not making an excuse because it's terrible, but I thought it's a really good article.
I thought you were going to say the 17-year-old himself had been raped and he was just doing what he had been.
He admitted to all of it. And according to the article, he's like, I knew the guy was genuine because, first of all, pedophilias and rapists will deny. And second, he admitted it right away and met with me. And he claims he didn't, the rapist claims he did not rape anybody else, which statistically that is probably not true. But you know, the fact that he met with him and was open about it was kind of unique. So anyways, I read a couple articles about him just based off that. Wow. He does one where he spends 72 days with a group of people doing high-end meth that was imported from China, like top-end speed that they were doing. And he just hangs out with them and documents what they're doing for 72 hours. Another one.
So I thought he said 72 days. I'm like,
did I say 72 days? I meant 72 hours. Another one, he shaves his head and attends a skinhead festival.
Wow.
Fucking wild. It's good stuff.
Huh.
David Holhouse, look it up. And it's all the articles are on his website. So
that's cool.
But anyways, and he did a Sasquatch one that's on Netflix that Ian and I watched. I didn't finish it yet, though. I still have the last episode to go.
I finished it.
Did you?
It's good. Yeah, I liked it.
I got to watch that.
It's not all about Sasquatch. Just to be clear.
It takes a
real big turn. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. Any other thoughts? Any other final thoughts, I guess?
I would, I guess, encourage anybody that's really interested in this to read that book, Filthy Rich. Go to the Miami Herald, read those articles on this. There's a ton that I skipped over to just tell the bulk of the story and get the point across in some parts, but there's so much more to this.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't leave you feeling good. That's for sure.
Not at all. No.
Especially with I was reading it last night or typing this out last night. I was getting so fired up over the girl being just considered a prostitute. Like, I don't know. You know, wealthy people can get away with things. That's just the way this country works. But to actually just flat out change a law for one person. You know?
Well, there's going to be more of that next week and the week after that, and then probably the week after that. And on June 30th, we'll wrap this series up. I think I made that same joke last week, so that's probably not as funny this week.
Boo.
What are you going to do? Alcohols.
Retread.
All right, we got some patrons. I just got this list. I haven't even previewed it yet, so there might be some butcherings. We'll see.
Boy, this should be good.
Yeah, this is going to be a good time. Thank you very much to new patrons, Donna Kraus, Caitlin Nielsen, Monsteropedia Podcast, Ryan Dyer, Karen Watton, Matt, Alistair Shaw, Kayla Greshamer, Cody Bass, Marissa Crow, Jolene Reyes, Drew Downing, Adam Watkinson, Alexandra Allgaier, Matt Call, Tara Bennett, Lisa Atkins, Josh Airy, Donald Lynn, Kara, Kane Hashke, Catherine Russo, Ryan Pasterkak, Simon Seawright, Sean Rosenberg, Jeremiah Owens, Matthew Blake Jones, Skylar Fiore, Donna Hoffman, Serena Hall, Chrissy Beckley, Brian Chandler, Chansey, Mysteria Heron, Brandon Dallum, Lagista Branham, Christian Wyatt, Alyssa June, Andrea G., Travis Stromson, Andrew Pendulo, Tim Sullivan, and Mr. J. Thank you very much. If you are interested, we are at patreon.com/Necronomipod.
I give you a C+ on pronunciation today.
Did you study them all ahead of time?
No.
Just but that's your guess?
Yeah, C+.
I did my best. My drunken best. Ian, what do you got?
For iTunes, I have one for Rosie Gal 82684, Wap Surat, Doobie Blue, and this one looks just like someone hit the keyboard. So I'm not reading all that, but thank you guys for the awesome reviews.
Dave, you got anything else?
I don't have anything, no. I'm just grading your shout outs, that's all.
He's done with all of us. He's done. He's like, be gone from my house now. All right. Well, that was part 3, and we'll be back next week.
All right, you guys ready for a cool down beer?
Cheers.